sure we're seeing that same thing with this team. This team, I think, has a special ingredient.
This year's Rockets are just phenomenal. We're young, they're resilient, trusting each other. They go up against Lillard, new team.
You got to just look at them and wonder who's going to step up next. For real, having guys who share that same thing.
No matter what happens in game 1, 2, or 3, it's the best sport out. So we're not out. This is the year. Let's this is the year.
This is our house. This is H-Town.
Great to have you with us from the Toyota Center in Houston. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from Houston. Brian Anderson along with Greg Anthony. Marty Snyder is our reporter tonight. We'll hear from him in just a moment. Greg, this has been a very entertaining series so far. We've had a number of overtime games, but here are the Rockets on the brink of being knocked out.
Yeah, high energy has this series been, and also high expectations when you look at it from the Rockets' perspective to be facing elimination here at home. A lot of pressure on Dwight Howard, and also, more importantly, I think on James Harden to be big tonight. And if you're the Blazers, this is a young, up-and-coming team. They've not been in this situation before. A closeout game on the road. Let's see if LaMarcus Aldridge and company are up to the task.
Portland trying to win their first playoff series in 14 years. And Greg, how about we take a look at our recipe for success presented by KFC?
Well, let's start by taking a look from Portland's perspective. How do you improve their defensive rebounding? The Rockets have had a lot of success there. And then how do you stay aggressive on offense? They've been as good as anybody in the postseason. That has to remain in this hostile environment. And if you're Houston, how do you make James Harden play like the superstar he's been since he's been a Houston Rocket? He's got to elevate tonight. And then how do you contain either or? You can't allow Damian Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge to have the monster games. Their numbers in this postseason far above where they were over the course of the regular season.
Well, for the Rockets, Kevin McHale preaching defense, and one of his key defensive pieces, Pat Beverly, is ill. And for more on that, we check in with Marty Snyder.
And Brian, that's a big question for the Rockets tonight. In fact, Pat Beverly has been battling flu-like symptoms for several days. It got so bad Monday night, he spent the night in the hospital with a 104-degree temperature. Today, it's down all the way to 101. I asked him, how do you feel? He said, like $1,000,000. It's playoff game day in the NBA, so I'm going to play, no doubt about it. But that's the big question mark. How healthy will Patrick Beverly be? Kevin McHale told me he's not 100%, but I'm going to get 100% of what he's got to give, and we need it.
Boy, that is such a key piece for the Houston Rockets. Kevin McHale, you can see he is bearing a lot of the burden of being down 3-1 in this series. This 4-5 matchup, winner advancing to take on either the Spurs or the Mavericks. And here we go from Houston, Texas. Danny Crawford, Davy Jones, Michael Smith, the three officials. Houston will control. Kevin McHale talked about the importance of getting off to a good start. Get some confidence going with this team. Get this crowd into it as Dwight Howard puts the first one down, and a good way to start for the Rockets.
Yeah, always a good sign when you can get paint touches from Dwight, who's had a pretty solid series thus far for the Rockets.
Beverly matching up on Lillard.
Houston with the Blazers up 2 early on. You know, with their season on the brink, the Rockets sought a little motivational help yesterday, and they brought in Mario Elie, former Rockets player who was part of the 94-95 Rockets team that had the infamous comeback against the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference semifinals. Not only did they come back from 3-1 down in that series, they came back to win the entire World Championship that year, and that's when Houston was given the nickname Clutch City. Everybody who came in today got a t-shirt that says Clutch City as the Rockets of current try to resurrect some memories from the old Rockets. I asked Dwight Howard what the message was. He said it was simple. Believe in yourself, believe in the system, and you can win this series. I asked Troy Daniels what it was like, and he said, I just thought it was cool that Mario Elie was talking to us. I asked him how old he was when he won the championship. He was 4. That puts it in perspective, doesn't it, guys?
How about that? Mario Elie can certainly give a speech as well. Was with the Nets most recently, Greg, as a coach. You might see him get back into coaching. Greg, as a coach, you might see him get back into coaching. Take a look at that 94-95 World Championship Houston Rockets team. Mario Elie on the end, number 17. There's Kenny the Jet. You got Clyde Drexler and the Dream, Hakeem Olajuwon, flanking Rudy Tomjanovich. And there is the Dream sitting right by you, Greg Anthony, here next to our table.
You know, Dream's working a lot with, we should do a little selfie with the Dream right now. Works a lot with Dwight Howard in practice every day. And, you know, the thing about that Rockets team, though, remember, there was a trust that squad had because they had won the championship the year prior. So that's what this Rockets team is. A nice drive there by Jeremy Lin, is trying to establish a belief in one another, a sense of playing for one another, and they've struggled with that at times here down the stretch of games.
Damian Lillard hits the 3. Big news for Portland early with LaMarcus Aldridge picking up his second foul. Blazers by 5. Jeremy Lin finding Howard deep in the paint, and Howard making it look easy in there tonight. So we'll see what kind of damage the Rockets can do without Aldridge on the floor with 2 quick fouls.
Yeah, but 2 good plays there by Jeremy Lin. The first one for the score that time to recognize the mismatch and get the ball to Howard down low. 6
points for Dwight Howard. Just underway, game 5. And a foul on Dwight Howard. Up in the air, Darrell Wright. And that is number 2 on Dwight.
Yeah, and just a heads-up play by Darrell Wright, recognizing Dwight Howard's not going to be comfortable defending out on the perimeter. Got him up in the air, and then able to initiate this contact here and pick up a huge foul there on Howard.
Valuable veteran on a young team. Wright misses the first free throw as Howard heads to the bench. He and Aldridge with 2 fouls apiece. Take a look at the rest of the Portland-Houston series schedule if it continues. Game 6 will be Friday. Game 7 on Sunday. And that'll be right back here in Houston. So Houston knows they have to win 3 straight. Kevin McHale, he gave us, even by his own admission, all the cliches you have to talk about and think about when you're down 3-1, but you have to take it possession by possession and see where you're at. As Terrence Jones just into the game, his first try is a deuce.
Yeah, good again, recognizing there, Darrell Wright does not have the size on the block to guard Terrence Jones.
And stuck in the lane, and that'll be a 3-second violation. So Lillard gets caught in the lane. Oh, I beg your pardon. Dan Crawford overruling, saying he's going to go with the jump ball. There you go.
Let's take a look here. Good job just staying active on the Rockets here defensively. Absolutely could have been a 3-second call there.
So it'll be Lillard and Lin to jump it. 12 on the shot clock if Portland retains possession. Parsons trying to bump it over to Harden on the floor. And we got another one. So we'll do it again.
It's a big break really for the Rockets. You would expect that Damian Lillard, who's participated in the slam dunk contest, would be able to win that tip there, but not able to, and there's no reset on the clock if the Blazers are able to retain possession.
Dave Jones, Dan Crawford coming together. And going to put 14 seconds back on the shot clock.
Which is surprising because I didn't think anyone had gotten possession, so that's why I would assume there wouldn't be a reset on the shot clock.
No, there is a reset. I beg your pardon. That was a 24. And now it's Parsons going the other way. Chandler Parsons. Big dunk. Crowd on its feet. Lynn steals one. And it poked away temporarily by Lillard. And here's Parsons wide open for three.
Timeout call. And you know what? This has been about the Rockets' defense, which has been an issue for them. Off of this jump ball, Parsons able to get ahead of steam and able to finish there in traffic. And then Lynn does a great job with the penetration, finding Parsons. And this will.
Wow, what an incredible first round of the NBA playoffs. No lead is safe. Toronto had a 26-point lead in that game when we last checked.
I literally talked about how I thought the game was over there as Asik gets a foul there trying to set the screen on Lillard. But your point about this first round, I just don't know that there's ever been a more compelling first round of basketball in the NBA. It's been unreal how many overtime games, how many ebbs and flows in terms of momentum we've seen thus far.
Mo Williams answers for the Blazers. We've had 8 overtime games thus far. These two teams, the Rockets and the Blazers, have played in 3 overtime games. Of course, Oklahoma City and Memphis, the last 4 games have been settled in overtime with Chandler Parsons. What a little segment here for Parsons prior to the last time out, and then 2 more. Gives him 7 points, and he'll get the foul on Mo Williams.
And you can see those two. This is right as we were going to break. You can see Chandler Parsons wolfing just a little bit, and then Mo Williams coming at him, and Chandler says, maybe he didn't hear me. Let me remind you of what I just said going to break.
Chandler Parsons scored the last 7 points for Houston. They're checking the video. To see if this is a flagrant one. Remember, Parsons got a flagrant one in overtime in Game 4 on LaMarcus Aldridge.
And he did make an effort to reach in with that right hand and go at the ball, but there was also some contact with that left shoulder as well.
So they've called it a flagrant one, which is the trigger to go take a look at it. And now they have downgraded it to just a common foul,
which I think is the right call there. But I do like the decision by the officials to call it a flagrant one, to at least be able to go and determine.
Right. Call it a flagrant. Give yourself an opportunity to look at it. They look at it. And the new rule this year, they can downgrade, and it's just a common foul. So we play on here. 25 points on the board for Portland. Houston has the lead. Parsons has scored the last 7 for the Rockets as Lillard comes up empty. Asik with the board. And up ahead, here's Daniels. What a story he's been. Troy Daniels coming off a 17-point game right out of the D-League into the NBA playoffs. Asik on the look for Parsons, and Lopez cleared it away.
Great job there by Lopez to come up with that block shot.
Second block shot for Robin Lopez. the pick by Lynn. Here's Lillard open, and he hits.
He has just been money this series, and that's the second time he's come up with a loose ball and been able to convert with a jump shot.
Played his way right into the elite status as Hasek running the floor. Great look from Jeremy Lin. And the Rockets on top.
Even though he had that last shot blocked, Hasek and Lin have given this Rockets team a nice boost here off the bench.
Mo Williams rises up, and Daniels clears it away. Houston could add to their lead. Minute 25 remaining in the first quarter. A very entertaining quarter here. Parsons again for Hasek with the left. Mo Williams pushing in transition. A lot of back and forth here tonight. Well, these two teams so evenly matched.
Right. That block there. Derrick Jones deflected that shot, blocked it in essence. The Rockets able to get possession.
Under a minute. Here's Lin probing, finds Hasek. Oh man, Hasek. A factor here in game 5.
And you're watching Hasek and you're wondering why doesn't he look to finish like that. The last two possessions he tried to shoot layups off the backboard. When you're 7-2, you always want to go with a more aggressive play and try and dump the basketball.
How big has Jeremy Lin been here this first quarter? Remember the report Marty gave with Pat Beverly ill, not feeling well, playing with a virus, has a fever. Lin has dished out 4 assists. He has 2 steals already, and he'll take them to the end of the quarter.
And that's, to me, even more impressive are the 2 steals. Been really solid here in this first quarter defensively.
Lin gets it right back from Hasek, loses the handle and turns it over with 10 on the clock. Lillard had that one blocked by Parsons. Daniels is there. And a foul on Portland. Boy, Troy Daniels flying down the floor to stay in the play. Right with the foul.
Take a look here. Lin does a good job there of getting Hasek in rhythm as he's able to go up. And again, he's aware of where Hasek is. He gets that commitment right there from Lopez and gets it to him on time for the finish.
Rockets by 3. Hasek with 4 points, has a couple of rebounds. On the floor with Terrence Jones. You got the big boys on the bench right now, and Aldridge and Dwight Howard with 2 fouls apiece. And Hasek, without Howard on the floor, has done a terrific job. Aldridge just 2 points. Made 1 field goal. He's 1 out of 3. Howard went to the bench with 2 fouls with 6 points and a couple of rebounds. Damian Lillard getting a breather here at the end of this first quarter. He has 10 for Portland and leads all scorers right now. Lynn Beverly and James Harden on the floor together. They go small. Harden for 3. No. And that's how the first quarter comes to an end. The Rockets, 30-27. They lead by 3. Backs up against the wall. It's win or go home for Houston. NBA playoffs on TNT. High-scoring first quarter from downtown Houston. The Rockets have the lead, facing elimination tonight. Moments ago, Marty Snyder caught up with Trailblazers head coach Terry Stotts.
Thanks, Brian. Well, Coach, you talked about wanting to do better on the offensive boards. Looks like you guys have done that. What do you think you did well in that first quarter?
Well, it was an offensive quarter. You know, I'd like to do a better job defensively. We had some possessions where we didn't match up, some poor switching, but, you know, it's going to be like this all game.
Seems like they turned up the defensive wick a little bit. How do you answer that?
You know, it's like I said, it's a high-scoring game. I think both teams are trying their best defensively, but both teams are scoring.
Thanks, Terry.
All right, thanks.
Brian?
All right, Marty, thanks. Thanks to Terry Stotts on the floor. Robinson goes to the deck. Harden gets down there with him, and it'll be a jump ball between Harden and Thomas Robertson. And Greg, you were calling for Houston to share the ball better in this game. That's the way you felt they were going to advance or continue in this series. What have you seen so far?
You know, on the season, they averaged about 21 assists a game. In this series, only 16. They had 8 assists.
Rockets, a quick 7-0 run, back up 14. Boy, these runs are coming fast. Portland went on the same run in just a little over a minute. And Houston answers quickly. And all of this with Dwight Howard on the bench with 3 fouls. And the Rockets defensively,
yeah,
Greg.
more impressively, that's what I was going to say. Remember, the Blazers come into this series averaging 118 points a game. They've only scored 7 through the first 6 minutes of this second quarter. The 7 steals by the Rockets, the block shots, they are defending like their playoff lives depend on it.
Wesley Matthews comes up empty on the 3. Portland now 3 for 10 from behind the arc. Lin will take it wide open. Yes! Jeremy Lin! And the Rockets are rolling here in the first half. Matthews in the lane. Cannot connect. Nothing falling. Last few possessions for Portland. Parsons on the attack. And Matthews hustling the floor. Knocks it out of bounds.
We talked about it. That was a great find by Aldridge there to a cutting Matthews. Just not able to convert. And then Parsons keeping the pressure on in transition. He has been in attack mode here in the open floor.
17-point lead. The biggest for Houston tonight, largest of the series they've had. Had 4 games, 3 of them have ended up in overtime in this series. As Harden steps back, Lillard the rebound. 5 minutes remaining in quarter number 2. Portland just 2 of 10 shooting. Making 2 of 11 now as Lillard gets his own.
And also, we talked about again, Aldridge has not been the factor offensively that the Blazers have relied upon over the course of this season.
Another miss turns into transition. Daniels will line it up. And Lin there to keep it alive. Damian Lillard, wow, what athleticism to stay on his feet. He'll go all the way, and that one goes. And that is a much-needed basket for the Blazers.
How about Lillard going up between 2 Rockets to win that battle for the loose ball, and then coast to coast there for the finish over Ashin.
James Harden fires up a 3. 1 and done as Aldridge clears it away.
And remember also, one of the things the Blazers have done well over this series is they've finished quarters well. So with all that momentum for the Rockets here, still lots of time here for the Blazers. And take a look at this effort here between 2 guys. You can see Daniels and Parsons never really committed to go after that loose ball. I think they were more concerned with bumping into one another. Lillard, with that finish, makes them pay. Rockets still, though, in control.
I think myself and other guys in the NBA are so involved in communities that we play in because we understand that if it wasn't for others helping us get to where we are today, we wouldn't be successful.
To see kids' smiles and to see them have that unforgettable moment.
Pretty indescribable. You know, the feeling is priceless.
You know, it means a lot to know that you can help somebody like that.
I want to continue to just try to get back and try to be the best person I can be.
Speaking of great people, lost one earlier this week. And you see the patch, Dr. Jack Ramsey and the Trailblazers were very pleased to be able to get this patch on their uniforms here tonight and for the remainder of their playoff run. won an NBA title with Portland in 1977, complete with the plaid background as well. Now the Rockets up 15 points, under 4 minutes remaining in this first half, as we check in with Marty with more on the late coach.
Well, Brian, he was such a fixture in Portland, and all the players have heard the stories about how he would ride his bike to practice every day, and all the players and the fans were hoping Terry Stotts would bring out this awesome jacket and shirt combination. He said he wanted to honor Dr. Jack on his birthday. That was when he turned 89. He said he doesn't feel like it's appropriate right now. He's just going to leave it on the shelf for right now, but I know the fans certainly wanted to bring out that plaid jacket and shirt, guys.
Now there's a beautiful image of Dr. Jack Ramsay in the office of Terry Stotts, and have to appreciate his respect for Jack Ramsay, what he meant to the game, certainly what he meant to the Portland Trail Blazers.
Truly one of the great ambassadors for the game of basketball, and great people, as Lillard will knock down that free throw there in the legal defense. And that only world championship for the Portland Trail Blazers, the Hall of Famer Jack Ramsay was at the helm. Also had some great teams with the Buffalo Braves as well, but no better person, as I was saying earlier. Really a huge loss for the NBA community.
Portland ball here, trailing by 14 points as Robin Lopez with the hook shot.
Yeah, it was a mismatch. James Harden got caught on Lopez, and no one came to double. Allowed him to get that little jump hook over the top for two.
It's been an impressive run here for the Rockets, who have gone small without Dwight Howard. Howard on the bench with 3 fouls. They've got Asik back in there now. Len steps back for 3. Tough shot, had to go up and over LaMarcus Aldridge.
And we talked about finishing the quarters here. Houston now not nearly as active defensively as they were a few possessions ago.
Aldridge just 6 points. And Aldridge, no. Asik the rebound. Omer Asik, he's having a good run here. That's his 7th board already to go along with 4 points. Lynn, Parsons cuts, trying to squeeze one in there. Asik on the floor, and here come the Blazers. Aldridge kept that one alive. Lillard wide open for 3. Yes, Damian Lillard hits another big one for Portland.
Yeah, that's a big turnover there. Jeremy Lin probably had a layup, but literally never looked at the basket there. And that pass out allowed the Blazers to recover defensively and come up with the turnover.
Each team with 9 turnovers. Portland answers with an 8-0 run as Parsons ends that run with 2. And it's back to a double-digit lead for the Rockets. Lillard dumps it into Lopez. Aldridge had Jeremy Lin on him. And a whistle underneath.
Well, that's part of it with the small lineup. Rockets are a little upset there with that call. And the Blazers are being smart to try to exploit the smaller lineup. And Lopez there did a great job of recognizing Aldridge on the cut. And he's able to get to the free throw line.
Asik with his 2nd foul. Got Howard with 3, Asik with 2. Terrence Jones ready to check back in. And LaMarcus Aldridge misses the first. Let's listen in to Coach Terry Stotts a moment ago, inside tracks.
We've had some calls and momentum plays go against us. We'll get those back. What we can't do is give up the easy ones by not communicating, all right? Look, we've been here before. It's a long game. Make a run before halftime.
And a lot of that, Aldridge there missing both free throws. It's not been really the Blazers' defense. It's been their offense that hadn't allowed them a chance here in this first half. Harden unable to deliver there. They've only got 4 turnovers thus far.
Oh, good passing there. Matthews, acrobatic layup.
Yeah, make it 5 on the nice give and go there between Aldridge and Matthews.
And speaking of the run, makes it a 10-0 run for Portland. A 10-2 run, I beg your pardon. As Jeremy Lin finds Parsons for 3. And now the threes not falling for Houston as Portland trying to answer. Down 9, but Batum finds himself wide open. Wow, James Harden didn't even see him
Well, the small lineup for the Rockets not working here the last few minutes. The Blazers much more effective with their ball movement down the stretch of this second quarter. A nice little give and go with Aldridge and Matthews, and all of a sudden the Blazers back in it.
Seven-point Houston lead as we come to the end of the second quarter. In this game 5, Portland up 3-1. Are the Trailblazers truly contenders? That's the question. You can find out in the Team Stream app from Bleacher Report. Download the Team Stream app on your iPhone, iPad, or Android device today. So Houston has a lead. Portland on a 12-2 run, but interesting note, you got Dwight Howard on the bench with 3 fouls. He's played just 11 minutes. James Harden just 3 for 10 shooting the basketball at this point. Finishing quarters has been a challenge for the Rockets, to say the least. Bounce pass to Asik, had it wiped clean by Lopez.
Shot clock.
Got to get it up, and Lin. Oh, Jeremy Lin with a rainmaker.
Wow.
Back to a 10-point Houston lead. Lillard looking for the answer. Yes. Smooth as silk.
Silky smooth. You took the words right out of my mouth, partner. This young man plays with a poise and a sense of calm well beyond his years.
Rookie of the year last year, all-star this year. I felt like he was in every all-star competition this year as well. He has burst into that elite status. Harden trying to take Batum. Here's Lin, wide open. Can he do it again? Air ball. Yikes. Boy, Jeremy Lin had a good look at it. And now Portland with the ball. The last possession as the shot clock is off.
You remember in game 4, they trailed by 10 at the half and were able to rally in that second half and get into overtime. So big possession here for both teams.
Portland the 5 seed, Houston the 4 seed, and Portland winning twice on this floor to start this series. Splitting the 2 games in Portland, and they've got the Rockets on the brink of elimination. Game clock down to 4. Lillard with the ball in his hands. He goes all the way. Lillard looking for a whistle, didn't get it, and that is the end of the first half. And the Houston Rockets with their backs up against the wall, leading by 8. Jeremy Lin with 10 points, Harden with 9. The NBA playoffs. A closeout game for Portland. You're watching it here on TNT.
Primarily because Damian Lillard has been the best player on the floor. He's leading the Blazers right now in points with 18, rebounds with 6, assists with 4, and steals with 3. He's doing it all to keep them in it, hoping his partner LaMarcus Aldridge maybe can join the party.
Now Houston with 4 points off 7 steals for the Rockets. Lillard with those 18. Let's take a look at the game summary. It's presented by Miller Fortune. 56-48. The Rockets have the lead going into half number 2, on the brink of elimination. Portland trying to advance to the second round with a win here tonight. Let's send it over to Marty Snyder. What do you have, Marty?
Well, Brian just spent some time with Terry Stotts, and he told me, I asked him, do you feel good about where you are? He said, yes and no. He said, we played well, we played better defense, but the one thing we let them have is momentum. We cannot let them have momentum because Houston plays with momentum, and they run when they have momentum. He said, we stopped the turnovers. That's one thing I was really worried about. We've done a good job in the series of not turning the ball over. I didn't want that to become a problem. But he said, down 8 on the road.
Congratulations.
Downtown Houston Toyota Center. Could be an elimination day today for the Houston Rockets. Patrick Beverley fighting a virus. Very high temperature. He is on the bench trying to wrestle his way through, and he's given it all he's got tonight, GA. I guess my question moving forward, if he's not effective or can't come back, who then for Houston on Damian Lillard the rest of the way?
Well, Jeremy Lin's probably going to get that job in terms of having to not only deal with him, but run the team. And he did a very, very good job that first half. He had 10 points, 4 assists, couple steals, couple rebounds. So Jeremy Lin gave him great minutes there in the first half.
Nice move by Howard and the friendly roll out of the timeout. Beverly trying to eat something and trying to keep him hydrated over there. That's a big story. He may not be a huge name in this series, a superstar player, but what he brings defensively is one of McHale's favorite guys on the floor. And that's a piece of arsenal he doesn't have available right now. As Harden trying to run the floor and a foul. Well, nobody draws fouls better than James Harden. I think it's all in the beard with the head flip, right?
Well, that's what we haven't seen a lot of over the course of this series. He does a great job of selling contact. Look at that head. He's always active. Puts a lot of pressure on the officials to be able to decipher between the real contact and a little bit of embellishment by Harden.
There's another foul. This time Batum. By the way, Matthews got the last foul, which was his third. Batum with a touch foul, his first of the night. And the third team foul as Mo Williams is back in for the Blazers. What a pickup he's been, huh? Mo Williams, the most experience in the playoffs among the Blazers, and really solved two problems for the Blazers this offseason.
They really gave him that backup point guard, veteran, and then he's also a combo guard as well. You see Parsons unable to get that finish.
Damian Lillard finds Batum, who flies high for the stuff. Nick Batum running the floor well. We saw some significant runs in that second quarter as Parsons goes with the left, and it rolls out. Blazers down 7 with the ball. Here's Batum, steps back and drills it. Nick Batum again.
You're seeing it now, the balance returning offensively for the Blazers there as Lopez sacrifices and sits there on that foul, not allowing Howard to get that up to the rim. But Matthews early in this quarter playing well. You're seeing Batum now starting to have an impact offensively.
GA, those runs that we saw, that 15-0 run at the end of the first, into the second, and then significant runs in the second quarter alone. Portland finished 14-5 as Lin, after the fourth Portland foul in this quarter, goes strong. And the Rockets up 7 now. It's been one of those games where it's not just the runs, but the speed of the runs. In a minute and a half, they're going on these stretches. Changes the game so quickly, these two teams. Batum, a little heat check, fires up an air ball. Howard begging for the ball in the paint, and disappointed he didn't get it. He was deep.
He was open, and Parsons just didn't see him there. Ended up forcing that shot.
Howard running step for step with Batum. Matthews lets Lin go by, and Wesley Matthews having a big third quarter, hits another one. Matthews leading the Blazers with 21 points, 12 of them coming in the third quarter.
He's been solid really again on both ends. You know about the job defensively he's done and providing that spark here in the third offensively.
Here's Howard in deep and a foul. Hard foul. Lopez fouled out in game 4 late with about 2.5 to go. Make sure he gets his money's worth as Dwight Howard hits the deck. 2 free throws coming for Howard. Wow. housekeeping here before we resume play. So the original foul was called a flagrant one. They went to the video review, Greg, and the flagrant one upheld. So it'll be 2 shots and the ball for the Rockets.
And I thought it was clearly a flagrant foul there.
Lopez to the bench with 2 fouls now. Howard will shoot the free throws.
And you know, you don't necessarily want the flagrant foul if you're Lopez, but you have to commit a lot of energy and effort to be able to foul a guy as strong as Dwight Howard without, you know, him being able to go up and finish. And you see him working with the Hall of Famer Akeem the Dream, and you see how he's starting to incorporate some of that footwork that the Dream had. Now, not with the quickness that Akeem had, but the hope is it can be somewhat as effective as one of the all-time greats, Akeem Olajuwon.
Now the Hall of Famer and their motto here, the legacy of bigs. And not only does Howard have a great resource in Kevin McHale, a Hall of Famer in his own right, but also Hakeem Olajuwon. Whistle on Portland as we check in with Marty.
And Brian, that video you saw has been the routine every day of practice so far in this series. They'll spend about 30 or 40 minutes after practice working one-on-one. But what they did the other day was they broke down film together. They went off in the corner by themselves and watched about 30 minutes of film. Hakeem guiding what he wants Dwight through, what he wants him to do, the moves, and you see those moves paying off here in the game. So not only working on the court, breaking down film as well, Brian.
Well, and it is that time, isn't it? Backs up against the wall. The Rockets facing elimination. Last year they entered into the playoffs as the 8th seed. They were dispatched by Oklahoma City. This was supposed to be the year, Greg, with all this payroll, these superstar players, Dwight's first year, where they had a chance to win an NBA championship. They're hoping that chance is still alive, but they're going to have to win 3 games now against a very tough Portland team.
And the mindset has to be, we got to win 1 game, because sometimes you can get ahead of yourselves, and that cannot be the case if you're the Rockets. It's all about now against the Blazers.
Aldridge finds Batum, who knocks down another triple. Nick Batum coming alive in this second half. Rockets by 5.
And although LaMarcus Aldridge not as effective scoring, making good decisions there out of the half court.
Howard, and he's fouled. Well, Howard got it deep.
And you saw that immediately Mo Williams put his hand up to say that was on me. And the official initially was looking at LaMarcus Aldridge. He did catch Mo Williams out the corner of his eye and ended up making that call on Mo Williams.
Aldridge playing with the 3 fouls. A reminder to go to NBA.com/style, where our experts break down the latest in NBA style. Presented by the new Samsung Galaxy S5. Howard hits the first free throw. He's spent a lot of time on the line here the last 3 possessions. And he's 1 out of 2. And now 4 out of 6 for the game. Always a big story with Howard at the free throw line. We'll see at some point if they start to hack a Howard as we move into the later stages. Matthews for 3. Yes, boy, Matthews staying hot here in Houston in the second half.
And it's
15 now in the third quarter, Greg.
Yeah, and you go back to the ball movement. Remember, they've already had, I think, 6 assists here in this quarter after having only 6 in the entire first half. So definitely that has been incorporated back into the Blazers' half-court game.
Daniels gives it up. Harden to Lynn. Shot clock at 3. Lynn with Matthews on him, trying to lead in. And hits an unbelievable 3. Jeremy Lin trying to get a foul. An acrobatic 3 and a big one for the Rockets.
That's the second one, really, he's hit. The second 9-1-1 he's had in this game. Big time shot there by Jeremy Lin.
15 points in 21 minutes. They're going to take a look at that 3 at the next whistle as Matthews answers. Wow.
Right back at you. Wesley Matthews has been brilliant here tonight on both ends.
27 for Matthews. Lynn to the hole with the left, around and down it goes. And 1 for Jeremy Lin.
Well, you were wondering what would happen without Beverly. And it's been about Jeremy Lin here. Let's take a look at that foot. That right foot definitely on the line, so that will go back to a two-pointer. But then this layup here, this is the conventional opportunity to get a three-pointer there. Beautiful finish, and he has been terrific here for the Rockets.
So that score is accurate. It's likely going to change once we have the officials go to the review to look at it. 82-77, Rockets by 5, but essentially by 4 with Lin trying to cap off the three-point play. He does so. Closing stages of the third quarter. And these two going at it once again.
And let's see if they go 2 for 1 here. They had the opportunity.
Mo Williams ends up on Dwight Howard, or vice versa. And Aldridge, as Jones fouls him. Terrence Jones coming over the back of Aldridge. Well, this is what the refs are going to look at when they get their first opportunity to, and that's an easy call.
Yeah, easy one there. And the crowd didn't like the call, but in part because it also resets there to 14 on the clock for the Blazers, but that was an intentional foul committed by Jones.
Williams for 3. In and out. Dwight Howard the board. Shot clock is off. Last chance for Houston here in the third. Flood City coming to their feet. Lin trying to take Lillard. Spins. Fall back. No. Air ball. And that's how the third quarter comes to an end. Likely they will take 1 point away from the Rockets before we come back for the fourth, as Lin is limping his way to the bench. Well, we set up for another thriller here. Wesley Matthews goes for 18 third quarter points. A tight one as the Rockets face elimination. The Blazers trying to advance tonight in Houston. They do, in fact, take a point off the board for the Rockets. It is 82-77 as we get ready for the fourth. Moments ago, Marty Snyder caught up with Rockets head coach Kevin McHale.
Well, thanks, Brian. Coach, Portland's offense really came to life there. What do you need to do to win this quarter?
Well, we got to go win the quarter. One thing, we're up 6 right now. They made some threes. They're getting loose, and they're breaking us down a little bit and running some screen and roll. Matthews been making some long threes, but 2 made a contested 3. We got to live with those.
Beverly seems to be really hurting. A, is he available to you? And B, will we see him back?
Well, we'll probably go to him for a few minutes there.
Thanks, Coach. Ryan?
Well, that's big news. Pat Beverly has been a story. For now, it is Jeremy Lin on the floor. Jeremy Lin with 17 points. Greg, let's talk about the Rockets and how they have been unable to finish games. Look at their leads. Game 1, 3, and 4. Big leads, not sharing the basketball. One of them ended up in a victory, their lone win, but in Game 1 and Game 4 ended in losses.
Yeah, that's an amazing stat when you think about it. That's almost an entire half of basketball with 1 assist. And similarly, that's what happened to them in that third quarter, second half, third quarter. They didn't have an assist either. And also keep in mind that Dwight Howard able to get that finish. The Rockets haven't won a fourth quarter yet in this series. No better time than now if you're trying to extend this series.
Portland is plus 15 in the 4 games of this series in the fourth quarter. Inside to Lopez. Good pass by Batum. That is down and one for Lopez.
And Dwight Howard got caught out on that pick and roll, had to stay with Batum a little longer. And he's able to turn that corner, and then they don't get the weak side drift by Daniels there. He's got to slide down and step in front of Lopez on that play. Not able to, and the Rockets pay the price.
Robin Lopez, 10 points tonight at 5 rebounds thus far through the first 3 quarters, and comes up empty for the second time tonight on a 3-point opportunity. Len starts it at the point guard position. Williams dives at his feet. Remember, we saw Len limping to the bench at the end of the quarter, and he's down
right
again.
Now, look like his knee. It is his knee there. He is laboring a little bit. You see, initially, Mo Williams is going to get tripped up there. And I think right there, it didn't help himself. And then looks like they might have bumped knees there with Darrell Wright.
Len had back and knee problems, had surgically repaired knee, and Pat Beverly had walked to the scorer's table, and Kevin McHale sent him back. Len's going to stay. Here's Len with 6 on the shot clock. Jones, bounce pass to Parsons for 3. Yes! Chandler Parsons, and a big one for the Rockets.
Really big shot there by Chandler Parsons. And good ball movement. Len able to create separation there. And Parsons is going to get that foul against Batum.
Parsons went for 26 points in game 4. 19 of those came in the first half as Harden sits. He has not scored, James Harden, in the second half.
And really hasn't been aggressive to score. I think Reggie Miller was talking about it the last game he did in this series. It didn't seem like at times James Harden was engaged.
Shot clock winding down. Lopez with 1.5 on the shot clock is fouled. Dwight Howard with the foul as the shot clock was soon to expire. Number 4 on Dwight.
Yeah, you know, Charles Barkley was talking about this at halftime with Dwight. You know, there are a lot of fouls like that. There was no reason. You got to understand your personnel. Robin Lopez not noted as a strong scorer. There's no reason to swipe down. Just stand straight up and force him to make a shot over you. You're just too valuable to your team to make the mental mistakes at times in terms of the fouls that he's made.
Lopez, 1 out of 2. This terrific round 1 continues tomorrow. Pacers Hawks on NBA TV. You got the Thunder and the Grizzlies, the Clippers and the Warriors on TNT. A doubleheader tomorrow.
And even though Lopez doesn't convert, that's another foul that puts you closer to being in the penalty. Already 3 fouls here early against the Rockets.
T. Jones rises up. The left-hander misses. And it's Lillard with the rebound. Lillard, by the way, with 18 points. All of those coming in the first half. Lopez fouled again. Back to the free throw line he goes. Good pass from Darrell Wright.
And you're seeing from Lopez what we've seen a lot from Asik in this game is that when he sees plays being made, he is going to go right to the front of the rim. And a lot of good things happen for bigs when they do that.
Well, the other big piece for Portland this offseason, signing a defensive-minded center. Terry Stotts a moment ago inside tracks. Let's hear what he had to say.
I want the game moving, all right? I don't want it to slow down. Offensively, be aggressive. You 3 guys, be aggressive penetration, get the ball moving, we'll get shots, all right? The ball doesn't stop. Hell of a game, baby. Here we go.
That's Jeremy Lin with a little floater in the lane. Your thoughts about what you heard from Terry Stotts?
Yeah, and you saw a lot of that in the third quarter. Much more effective with their ball and body movement were the Blazers. And that's the reason why they were able to make a dent into that lead.
Blazers now 9 for 22 from behind the arc, shooting at a 41% clip from three-point range. Jeremy Lin again. Wow. Jeremy Lin have a night when the Rockets need him most. Pat Beverly sick on the bench. Jeremy Lin with 21 points. Flood City back on their feet.
Welcome back as the Rockets have increased their lead to 9. And folks, Linsanity is back here in this second half. He scored 11 of his 21. Patrick Beverly sick. James Harden not as effective. Jeremy Lin picking up the slack here for the Rockets.
Best scoring game of this series. It had been 14. He had 14 points in game 1. Jeremy Lin has had his troubles. We showed you those fourth quarter stats, those leads that have gotten away. Lin has had his troubles at the point guard position, but he is having a monster night tonight. And a whistle. Marty Snyder checked in the last time out. He stuck his nose in the Blazers huddle, and Terry Stotts imploring his Blazers to be aggressive down the stretch here. Try to get to the line.
And that's important, but also that's the 5th foul there on Asik, and Dwight Howard also with 4. A lot of time here in this fourth quarter, which has really been the nemesis for the Rockets. You talked about Stotts and his group. No coach involved in this little huddle for the Rockets. Dwight Howard leading the way, and also no James Harden in the midst of that little gathering.
So 5th team foul as Harden sits. He has not scored in this second half. And you're starting to get an idea right now who Kevin McHale trusts on the floor in this early stretch of the fourth quarter. Here's Lin. Now Lopez on him. Lin looking for Asik in a mismatch, but throws it away. Turnover for Jeremy Lin.
Right decision there, too. Just a little too much on it, where Asik could not get to it there. Big turnover for the Rockets.
Rockets facing elimination, a closeout game for the Portland Trail Blazers.
And remember also, 8:30 to go here in the fourth quarter. The Blazers will shoot free throws on every foul.
And Batum hits a big jumper. And Portland keeps climbing. Rockets lead by 5 with the ball. Here's Lin. And a floater is off the back iron. Batum with the board. Blazers on the attack again.
And let's see how long Kevin McHale is willing to wait.
Oh, Batum.
Nice find there by Batum, who's really come on here in the second half. But how long will Kevin McHale wait before he brings Harden and Dwight Howard back here as Portland starting to put the pressure? welcome back. And James Harden has really been in a series-long slump that had continued over the course of the first 3 quarters. But this play right here got him going, and then that triple brought back the fear. Fear the beard.
What a key players. They step up big. The Beards are out in H-Town. Rockets trying to win their second game of this series. It would be their first win on their home floor. Remember, Portland came in here in the first 2 games as the lower seed and won. Houston's lone win came on the road. Under 2 minutes to go. It's Aldridge. He's had a quiet night. Shot clock at 4. Aldridge and Howard blocks. 2.7 on the shot clock.
And how about Howard not going for the pump fake, kept his balance and leveraged there, and then able to extend and come up with the block. Terrific defense there by the big fella.
Second block for Dwight Howard. Aldridge has to go fast, and Howard got a piece of that one. Aldridge thought he was fouled, as does Terry Stotts. Not the case.
I tell you what, great defense there by Dwight Howard on consecutive possessions. And I thought it was the right call. I didn't think that there was enough contact to warrant a foul on Howard.
First turnover of the quarter for Portland, just the second turnover of this half for the Blazers. Rockets, maybe a chance to put it away, and Matthews with a foul. Tried to pick his pocket. Gonna send Harden to the free throw line. Moments ago, Kevin McHale. Inside tracks, here's what he had to say in that Rockets huddle.
All we gotta do, guys, ready? A hold, a hoop, and a hold. Over. Over, guys. All right, we gotta go get it.
And what Kevin McHale's talking about is 2 stops, a hold, a stop, a hoop, and then a hold. One more stop, and they were able to get it on that first possession here, and if Harden gets these 2 free throws, there goes your hoop.
Harden hits the first. He's now 4 of 4. They bring Pat Beverly back in, trying to get 90 seconds of defense out of him. As Harden hits them both, 5 for 5 at the line. He's come alive in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, you also go with the 2 point guards because you want to be able to match up with Williams and Lillard, and also better able to defend that 3-point shot.
Blazers down 9. Here's Matthews finding Williams, passes it up. Lillard. Harden was right there with him. I think he got a piece.
Sure did. And how about that? The Rockets on a night where it was going to be about their ability to fight defensively, bringing that effort and energy. Harden there with the block. Howard with the block and the contest on the possession prior. Taking a great job on the closeout, and then just the extension and effort there to come up with that block.
James Harden, 16.7 in the 4th quarter. Free throws when we come back. Rockets on their home floor. They lead by 9 with the ball. A couple of free throws coming for Houston on a 7-0 run here down the stretch, trying to push this series to a Game 6 on Friday in Portland. And a Rockets win on Friday would bring it back. They would secure the home court advantage again, bring it back to their home court Sunday if there is a Game 7 or another thrilling game in this series.
It has been an incredible ride, this series, really this entire postseason. And
very quiet night for LaMarcus Aldridge, just 8 points, playing in his home state.
Well, it's going to bring his average down a little bit in terms of what he's been able to do here in this arena thus far in this series.
Now Aldridge went for 46 and 43 in the first 2 games as Harden misses for the first time at the free throw line tonight. Aldridge averaging over 35 points a game and over 11.5 rebounds as he and Lillard sit, and Harden puts the free throw down. And we talked a lot about Houston's inability to close in the fourth quarter. Not the case here tonight. Up 10, under a minute, and looking to advance.
Yeah, it will be the first quarter they've had, fourth quarter in this series that they have actually won. And more impressively, they won it with their defense. I thought Howard, Lynn, Beverly, Parsons, and James Harden did a terrific job in this fourth quarter, setting the tone.
Harden with 17 points, 8 of those coming in the fourth quarter. Fires up a 3, an air ball. On a night when Houston had to have it to survive one more day. When Pat Beverly was out, ill, playing with a high fever, really wasn't effective.
He wasn't, but I think the fact that he just gave that effort to try and played some solid minutes early, and Jeremy Lin was really spectacular for this team at that backup point guard position, and then their stars down the stretch made the plays.
Jeremy Lin goes for 21 points, dishes out 4 assists, and that is Game 5. Harden was big in the clutch. The Rockets outscore the Blazers 26-21 in the fourth quarter, and they win by 10. Did not trail in the last 2 minutes of the first quarter, or rather fourth quarter. Dwight Howard tonight goes for 22 points, 14 rebounds. He's had a double-double in each of the first 5 games of this series with Portland, as we check in with Marty standing by with Dwight.
An exhausting night for Dwight Howard, 22 points, and a lot of the night in foul trouble, Dwight. And a lot of heads hanging earlier in this series in the fourth quarter. What was the difference tonight for you guys late in the game?
First, I want to thank God, for this opportunity. Everybody counting us out, but we still believe, and I'm just thankful that we got a chance to play again. We worked so hard, so it's a blessing to be playing, and we just want to give everything we got and try to win.
I can't tell if you're exhausted or relieved. Which one?
I'm exhausted. Giving everything I got for my team. I'm just happy we won.
Talk to me about the contribution to 2 guys. Obviously, Pat Beverly very sick tonight. Jeremy Lin stepping up, and then James Harden coming through in the fourth quarter for you.
I'm just happy everybody's continuing to play basketball. Nothing gonna be easy in the playoffs. We got to fight for each shot, each possession. Just happy we won.
Big night for the Houston Rockets and Dwight Howard. They come out of here